this episode even called? Chaos, that was it. Hey everyone, welcome to Nixie Bob's. No longer squeaky and no longer, thankfully, having 1,000 things to do. Bit delayed, had a lot to do over the last few days. What happened Monday? Monday I was recovering after WrestleMania. Thankfully, we're now back to discuss the two new episodes of Thunderbirds I'll Go. You have been asking me where it is. Very simply, the first week was Easter weekend, and as you probably all well know from the last video, I was quite sick, so I did not do it immediately. I kind of left it, but then when I sat back and looked at it, I was like, you know what, it's a two-parter. I'm just gonna stick them both together and do it that way. I think that's going to be the rule now. If we do a two-parter, just stick them both together and crash them into one. Look Fantastic box has actually been delayed because basically I need to update the payment method. I'm not going to tell you why, but that is why that hasn't happened yet. Doesn't matter too much. But now I'm kind of not ill, not training to stay awake for WrestleMania, and everything is back to relatively normal. I should actually now be able to start being a bit more regular again with you guys. Check out Twitter because there's been an interesting thing happen this week involving a pair of Doc Martens. So I'll explain that to you because that was actually quite funny. But the good news is Shoe have been really great and we've actually managed to locate another pair of fours, so they should be here tomorrow. Woohoo! The two episodes that were the last 2 weekends have been Chaos Part 1 and 2. I'm not fully on board with the Chaos crew yet. I'm just not, and I don't think I ever will be. It's just Transom and Mullion. Mullion looks pretty damn similar, but Transom's had a haircut and a blonde stripe put through it. Are they copying my hair from several years ago? So they've obviously been out a while in Thunderbirds I'll Go land, but suddenly we're hearing about them and we're introduced to Series 3 with them following round, chasing after them, KO trying to arrest them, doing everybody's clearing up, basically, is essentially what I'm trying to say to you. I'm losing control of what I'm saying. So everyone's rescuing everyone, but then suddenly these RO bots from the GDF come in and start saving people, so International Rescue don't have to. So KO, as I said, is working with Colonel Casey, General Casey, what one is it, to bring down the Chaos crew, along with Lady Penelope, and a guy that looks just like Captain Blue. Is he meant to be Captain Blue? Because I think he's Captain Blue. So they explain to us who Havoc and Fuse are. They're clearly not brother and sister, but they see themselves as siblings. They work for the Hood, and they go around and cause mess and cause danger, blah, blah, you know. They've got all these special abilities and they can do stuff basically that causes a lot of chaos is the general theme. So the Chaos crew attack some kind of underwater ice base when the base in question refuses to do business with the Hood. By the time International Rescue gets there, they're underwater, so Gordon has to rescue everybody whilst competing with this RO bot, and then eventually the RO bot ends up saving the day, which causes Scott to eventually accept the help of the RO bots with the GDF's blessing, which she's not too happy about doing. Just to close episode 1, Havoc gets caught by KO, which is a dupe. We were very aware of that as soon as she went, I'm in. So what's coming next? And then we went to part 2. So as you can see, there wasn't really a whole lot for me to talk about. It was a very kind of quick-paced episode. There wasn't a whole lot of stuff that went on other than introducing the Chaos crew and saying they're here to cause a whole load of trouble. So because of the RO bots, we've now got a non-operational International Rescue. The minute they go to do any type of rescue, along comes these RO bots, nicks their jobs and leaves them sitting at home doing this. Of course, we were all expecting it. It doesn't take Havoc 5 minutes to use a hologram of herself and escape out the door in the GDF. What it turns out she wanted to do, she, number one, puts her hand on something to nick some information from the GDF. We'll find out what that is later. And the second thing she wanted to do was nick this little, like, tablet-style thing that controls all the RO bots. Her intention to malfunction them and turn them evil. And try to kill everyone, basically. But that doesn't happen quite yet. Before all this, the bots are called to several rescues at once, have no idea which one to attend first, so they end up just sitting there stationary, frozen and unaware of which order to follow first. So of course now we've got a disaster with this. Is it a space? I labelled this, and you can correct me, I'm probably wrong. I called it Space Lift Elevator Thingy because I didn't know what it was. It was just, I thought at first it was the pod that went up from Thunderbird 5 and back down to base, and I was like, well, what is it? It's a Space Lift Elevator Thingamajig. There you go. Nixie logic! So once this malfunctions and the bots are just sitting there with no idea what to do, it means everyone's got to launch at once and go and save the day. So you've got Thunderbird 2 launches, Thunderbird 3 launches, and of course Scott has to go out on Thunderbird 1 and have all the cool crap, right? Alan goes to sort of stabilise the space lift thingy. Virgil, I can't remember what Virgil does, I'm really sorry, it's gone clean out my head. And Scott is sort of controlling and being the boss as he usually is, bossy sod. You've also got, in the meantime, KO chasing and eventually boarding the Chaos crew's Chaos Cruiser. We're going to get to that. And Scott has this thing called a sky pod as he goes out to rescue the people on the elevator thingy. The sky pod? That's a pretty cool name and it's quite good as well. I am going to completely ignore Lady Penelope's involvement in part 2 because it was dumb and completely ineffective and kind of stupid. It wasn't funny. It was just kind of a bit like, oh, this is where it becomes cartoony for me. Pointless was the word I used. Pointless. Not the show, because I hate the show. I can't bear that show. Oh, I really cannot bear Pointless. Every time I see an episode, I just want to punch a TV, and I'm not a violent girl. So KO does, as I say, manage to board the Chaos Cruiser after Havoc has completely wreaked havoc, no pun intended, with the RO bots and made them all attack anyone that they've gone to rescue. She manages to get the device back and reprograms all the bots to essentially just die, basically, is all I can say. Alan manages to get the space lift thingy working again. Scott saves all the people on the base which were in danger. Everybody goes home happy, and it turned out that although the Hood did want the RO bot control tablet thing, what he actually wanted was something that Havoc did with the glove. I still can't remember what that was, which as it turned out we had two big OMGs at the end. One, Hood wants the mechanic back, and he's stored in space in some super secret safe chamber because Hoodie Boy can't get to him up there. Second thing, we actually saw the mechanic's face. How long did we wait for last season for that? So it was a good enough opener, but as I say, the Chaos Crew for me, I don't think I'm ever going to buy into that. I'm just not. It's just not my cup of tea at all, I'm sorry. And I don't even like tea. I like lattes and frappes. You know what? It is now becoming a once-a-week treat to go to Starbucks and get a vanilla frappuccino. It's so, like, it's every Friday, I'm like, oh, Starbucks day! Who actually can afford to do that every day? Like, go to Starbucks and have a whole... have a whole thing once a day, several times a day from a Starbucks. Like, I do it once a week as a damn treat. I'm trying to remember the points I made from episode 1, so bear with me. So I said there's a really clever shot in Scott's opening scene when the camera is in first person and like that. I think I can vaguely remember it. I do like it when they do all these first person shots so you're seeing out the eyes of the person. So like you're looking at me now, but obviously if I was looking back you would see what I see. So when they're doing that, they're essentially showing what he sees and the craziness of what International Rescue do in this newer series, which I appreciate. I've always said that. I always appreciate like the risk taking and the craziness of it all, because that is how it would be more so today than it was back in the 60s. The Chaos Cruiser. This is where I'm going to start. The Chaos Cruiser. I feel like Scott Tracy's face palm right here. Just like that. You couldn't have come up with a better name? The Chaos Cruiser. I know midway through the first episode you've got International Rescue and specifically Brains inspecting the RO bot thing, but after it said at the time that there's been constant missions and constant having to save people from everything because of Havoc and Fuse, I have an itchy nose. I am really sorry that there would be a scene in episode 1 where they all just sat down and went, oh my god, and like had a sleep. But no, they just carry on going in the same clothes that they've been wearing since the start of the season as a whole series, everything. Show us doing, you know, I don't want to see him having a pee or anything, but like seriously, show him having a damn sleep. I initially, this was something I actually thought. I initially wrote, I'm sure the bots are actually recording missions to steal ideas. That could still come to pass, you never know. This is something that I actually stand by as well. While they're causing chaos, as in the Chaos Crew, as in Fuse and Havoc, what is actually going on? What are they actually masking the Hood actually doing? Because things like this, you guys know, there's always a bigger picture going on here. You've got something going on in the foreground, but in the background, he's doing something that's going to be even more chaos than what a Chaos Crew are doing. Just saying. As it turned out, we kind of know that because he wants the mechanic back. The episodes now seem shorter, and I don't know if anyone's picked up on that. It's only by minutes, but I mean, like my BT box, for example, is programmed to record for half an hour, and I had at least 10 minutes left at the end of the episode today, part 2 that I watched today, and part 1 that I watched the week before. So they seem, is it just me when I say that? There was also, although there's a border on cartoony, there was also like a really cinematic, that was the word I was looking for last week, cinematic feel. I remember the last shot of part 1 where all the bots were turning on, and it was just such, it almost had a Terminator feel for me. that moment, I was like, dun 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 dun, dun. Like, I can't remember the Terminator theme, I'm sorry guys, but that kind of aspect of it. So perhaps there is a tinge more maturity, but at the same time it was still a little cartoony with the Chaos Crew. I think, going into my points for part 2, I think there's this long running idea in this episode of the idea of robots taking over the world. You know, alright, we've got more machines, we've got more devices, more everything in everyday life that even I had like 10-20 years ago in the 90s when I was little, but there are still things in the world that robots cannot replace. And stuff like rescues, even stuff like my job, probably something that, you know, a robot can't really do. There are jobs in life that are still manual, that are still human-led, and that need to be done by hand. And I think that's what it was trying to hint at, as I think for the adult audiences, you know, this fear that eventually humans are going to be replaced by Arnold Schwarzeneggers. I had to put that out there, I'm sorry. Is Jimmy Havoc out there? Are you aware that Thunderbirds I Go have stolen your name? Don't worry, she'll never be as hardcore as you are, Jim. Seriously, Jimmy Havoc is a cool dude. And he's like one of the most hardcore current indie wrestlers I know of. Moving on. How come Scott gets all the best gear? Virgil Tracy takes the award in these 2 episodes for the King of Wit, I've put that down as. How big are Fuse's feet? Like, I was looking at his feet thinking, oh my god, they're like that. He's got his feet on the deck at one point when they're driving the Chaos Cruiser. And they're huge! They look like me, age 2, wearing my mum's shoes around the house. Unnaturally big feet. What the hell? So those were episodes 1 and 2. I just threw my iPad to the left. Don't worry, I want a new one. It's kind of getting slow, that iPad. I'm kind of thinking about replacing it later on. I was actually thinking about getting the newer sized one. Well, not newer sized one, but like I've got the mini. They don't seem to be making the iPad mini anymore, which annoys me a little bit. It's like the iPod Touch. They seem to have ditched that altogether. Bring back iPods, guys. Not everyone has an iPhone. I love my iPod Touch. I need a new iPod Touch. I'm sorry I couldn't do it exactly when you guys wanted, but I will carry on doing it now. This week's episode is a treat for everyone because I think, is it based on the Path of Destruction? I think it's been known for a little while that they were doing that, but everyone's been on top of it for the last 2 weeks since that came out, and everyone seems really excited about it. So I'm quite looking forward to seeing that because I always like to see what they do with a newer remake of an episode. Thanks everyone for being here. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Did I miss anything? I probably did. Let me know. And I will see everyone again for more Thunderbirds and everything else once I actually get my arse in gear. Bye!